Are you killing your dreams of screaming without even knowing it? If you're watching this, you probably are. I can say this because I've personally video chatted with 2,965 of you on calls since I started teaching screaming in 2019. And I hear this all the time. I can't practice because I live with others. But this is actually a sign of a deeper problem that'll lead to other issues. So I'm going to show you how to practice while living with others using 3 tips, and use that to uncover and fix the real problem underneath. Heads up, you might feel uncomfortable and challenged, but if you fix this, it'll help you massively with your screams, and might even change your life. This first tip is something I actually learned from my experience trying to get better at dating. See, when I was younger, I had no confidence when it came to dating. When I was interested in someone, I'd be really scared of being upfront with my romantic intentions because I was scared of getting rejected. So I'd beat around the bush and try and hide it. As a result, they'd sense that I wasn't being direct, and it would make it all feel super awkward. It got so bad that I decided to hire a few dating coaches to help me find love. And they told me something that completely changed my dating life. They said, "Hey David, you being indirect and hiding your nervousness is way weirder than just being honest." In other words, me trying to hide things was making it way more awkward. And this same rule applies to screaming. Back when I was first trying to learn, I'd practice in my room and only practice if my roommates weren't home. When I'd come out of my room and realize they were home, I desperately tried to hide the fact I'd been making screaming noises. Doing what I did is far more awkward than talking to your roommates ahead of time and saying,
"I'm gonna be practicing screaming, so if you hear me sounding like a dead cat, that's what's going on."
Address the elephant in the room and all you guys won't feel nearly as awkward. The next tip is probably the most surprising on the list. I'm gonna play back the recording of 2 different screams and I want you to tell me, what's the difference between them? So you might be thinking, oh, one of them sounds higher pitched than the other, or it has more voice or more pitch. But that was actually a trick question. Now I'm gonna show you the waveforms. Can you tell that the second one is way quieter? In fact, my inside talking volume is similar to the volume of my second scream. But they both still sound sick when they're mixed and mastered. This proves that you can scream and practice at low volumes. In other words, you don't have to be nearly as disruptive to your roommates as you might be thinking. In fact, I'll scream for you right now, quietly.
By the way, I just did what are called head fry screams and chest fry screams, and if you want to learn how to do those specifically, then I left a free training which you can check out in the description. Back to the video.
Tip 3. This tip is probably the easiest thing to do on the list. Here's footage of a lot of my students practicing. Notice anything interesting? Hint, it's allowing them to feel safe from the judgment of others and disturbing other people. And I've made about 90% of my progress doing the same thing. The answer is they're practicing in their car. So if you have one, go do that. Okay, so at this point, there are 2 types of people. The first type of person will take the information I just showed you and say, okay, great, I'm gonna start practicing today. You wanna try and be this type of person. They're the people who make progress the quickest. However, there's a second type of person, and they're called self-handicappers. Now, there's this psychological phenomenon called self-handicapping that makes people subconsciously make up excuses not to practice. They'll be watching this video and think to themselves, I don't have a car, so I can't follow these tips, or my situation with my roommates is different because of so-and-so reason, so I can't follow these tips. According to psychologists, this happens when we are too embarrassed to fail. In this case, people make up excuses to prevent them from failing at screaming, because it's much easier to make up excuses not to practice than it is to risk embarrassment of trying to scream and fail. And by the way, no judgment, this is a very normal thing and it's something that I dealt with too. Now, let me bring it back full circle. Remember when I told you at the beginning that I used to have no dating confidence and hired a dating coach? What I didn't talk about is how even though I was coached, I still failed a lot at dating, and I had my heart broken so many times. I'd get dressed up and try and go on that date and try to bring my best energy. I'd tell them my best jokes. I'd hope there was a connection. Maybe I'd go on a few dates with them. And then either I'd be told that they didn't feel a connection with me, or worse, I'd have to tell them that I wasn't feeling it. And I'd get my heart broken one way or another. I did this over and over again 76 times. I know this because I was counting, trying to make sense of it all. So many times I wanted to just give up and throw in the towel. I was feeling shame for needing to hire dating coaches. I wondered if I'd ever find someone. I wondered if I was good enough. But had I not failed 76 times and faced my fear of judgment, I would have not gone on the 77th date and met my girlfriend Yanni. She makes me feel so happy and loved, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And she also helps me with these videos as well. And only is it now that I can look back and say, man, all that failure was worth it to get to where I am now. And this brings me to the most important tip for this video. I want you to shift your judgment towards failure. Failure and embarrassment is the price you pay for getting anything worthwhile in life, especially learning how to scream and express yourself in this way. You will make noises that make yourself cringe. You will feel pain on the way. You'll probably get walked in on and feel embarrassed. This is part of it. Once you realize this, the excuses will stop. And this will free you up to think about other ways to succeed. If you don't have a car, go on a walk. Find an empty park. Find ways to practice that aren't on this list. Hell, scream when people are home and embarrass yourself. It's okay.
This is a fast card scream.
If you can't do what you want, it's not a lack of your resources, it's a lack of your resourcefulness. Now that you have the right mindset to learn screaming, you'll probably need techniques and exercises to technically get there. So watch this video right there and it'll show you one of my favorite screams and how to do it.